100%. My reason to bring that up, right, is that bully pulpit you were talking about is gone. Even one event, which is, you could look at it and say, well, this event hit the news, was wall-to-wall coverage. That's true. But there are so many sub-narratives within it that it's spun, so many ways that it almost didn't happen in that way, right? There's no one cohesive narrative on the event. And again, that's what makes this kind of, political violence strategy, from that perspective, right? From the perspective of, a terror campaign, less effective now.
No, 100%. I emphasize to people too, one of the reasons why terrorism, despite what the Department of Justice and the Pentagon like to claim, and despite what a lot of these military types, military brass and war college types, I'm not talking about special operations capable guys or what have you, like your friend. Despite this claim that, terrorism is it's this cheap way to accomplish political goals by asymmetrical means, that's really not true. Terrorism only really works within very specific paradigms. And even stuff like OKC or 9/11, the purpose of those kinds of attacks, it's not terrorism in the conventional sense. The purpose of those is a catalyst to escalate hostilities. When we're talking about terrorism as, like targeting people, media people or politicians or members of the police for violence in a targeted capacity to try and alter the conceptual environment and undermine the ability of, the extant government within the contested space to manage, day-to-day affairs and the physical security of the people. That works in Ulster in 1975 or 1990. That works in Bosnia, behind the lines where, all three ethnic groups are trying to carve out their own sovereign spaces by force of arms. That doesn't work in a country that's the size of a continent to 300 million people, where there's not a clear battle line, figurative or literal, between ops, and where there's not some ongoing conflict paradigm that's a constant threat of escalation. Even God forbid, if every single week there was some suicidally determined shooter or bomber who was bent on taking out anybody who was associated with a MAGA PAC or podcast or any kind of media apparatus, that really all that would do is, I think you cause some general panic among normies. It might give Trump or whoever the president happens to be, a pretext for even further federalization of general police power. But it's not like suddenly this would change things. It'd be cathartic, I guess, for the people who sympathize, but that's it. It's not some meaningful tactical orientation. I just thought that needed to be said.